a lot of attention is focused on the health of a pregnant woman as she prepares to give birth. But what about after she gives birth? Postpartum depression. It's a condition that is believed to be much more common than the data reveals. It can take on many forms and even remain undiagnosed for long periods of time. Dr. Patricia Ferguson from Blue Cross Blue Shield joins us this morning to talk about it. Hello, doctor.
Morning. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for asking, and thanks for joining us. Let's talk about what happens during this period of postpartum depression. What happens during that time?
Well, Todd, thanks for having me. And it's one of those things that it's subtle, maybe. We spend so much time focusing on getting pregnant, having the pregnancy, prenatal care, prenatal visits, and the big moment is the delivery. And it's supposed to be this great, exciting, happy time. And then you get discharged home and reality is, wow, I'm responsible. I have all these new experiences going on, never experienced them before in a lot of times. And it's just a period of tremendous change hormonally, emotion, your whole life is uprooted because now your time is not your own. And you really just have to process that all at one time.
Yeah, that can be difficult, not to mention what's happening, as you mentioned, with the hormones and what's happening physically, mentally as well. And you mentioned it, prenatal care. We spend so much time focused on that with good reason, but postnatal care, that's just as important. That's just as important, right?
We're realizing that more and more because expectations really drive our behavior and our responses to that behavior. So you really have this big expectation that everything is going to be amazing and wonderful, and we see other people's highlights. And it's amazing how people can start to feel a sense of guilt if they don't feel as excited as they're supposed to, or they don't immediately connect. You have to learn to be patient and loving and kind. There are some parts that are just automatic. But, as time goes on through those first 6 to 12 weeks postpartum, your sleep cycle is off. You're taking care of the baby and everything and everybody else. And sometimes you don't remember to take care of yourself. Something as simple as eating healthy, drinking plenty of water first thing in the morning, taking care of yourself. All those things get pushed to the back burner. And then you look up and realize, wait, who am I? What's been going on? And there's a sense of just being overwhelmed, coupled with exhaustion, anxiety, stress, and in a general sense, we cope. But when it's this extreme, we have to start to look for signs and symptoms that it might be something just a little bit more concerning.
And we're going to talk about some of those signs and symptoms coming up, but I really want to hop into the support area of this. I mean, I can only assume it seems counterintuitive that you have a new person in your home, but you feel more alone than you did beforehand. I'm sure a support network, that's got to be key.
It's so important. And here's why it's important to prepare a support team for those few months at home. Motherhood is taxing. I mean, you have a lot of responsibilities that were already existing, and now you have the addition of this new life, this little person you're responsible for. So it's really important to connect with, family, friends, and most importantly, your OBGYN, your midwife, your doula, who consistently were there supporting and encouraging you through the pregnancy. You still are able and need to have those people ready to reach out to in the postpartum period, even as early as the days you get home.
And of course, I'm a husband, father, my part.
Well, husband,
yeah,
father, grandparents,
right,
on either side.
That's me. So I'm sure that if that's someone now, what would they be looking for? Signs and symptoms of postpartum depression, what would I see?
Well, I think it's interesting because it can be subtle. Sometimes just the feeling of blah, in the first few days, but as it becomes a little more intense, maybe mood swings, excessive crying, difficulty bonding with the baby beyond what's normal, the normal fear of not wanting to be too aggressive or too overbearing. It really becomes an inability to actually make that connection, withdrawing from family and friends, being, isolating yourself, losing your appetite, more so than just being too busy to grab something, inability to sleep, insomnia, or sleeping too much, not wanting to do any of the things that used to give you pleasure. And then just an overwhelming sense of fatigue, just a lack of energy, Again, like I said, not finding pleasure in the general activities you had, maybe irritability, a quick temper, short patience. And then it starts to turn to self-doubt or questioning your ability to be a good mother, feeling hopeless. The list goes on: shame, guilt, inadequacy. Just you start to be so consumed with those things, people really are not thinking clearly. They're not able to concentrate and make decisions that they would normally make easily. Just becoming restless, anxious, and even to the point of physical symptoms like chest pain or rapid heart rate, proceeding toward an anxiety attack. And then the extremes would be of possible thoughts of hurting yourself or hurting the baby, recurrent thoughts of death and suicide, just that all overwhelming sense of hopelessness. And family members shouldn't be afraid to reach out and inquire. And they shouldn't be afraid to approach the subject, because that's sometimes the first extension of help that somebody's willing to receive.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the time this morning, doctor. And if you want to get more information about this, you can easily find it, bcbsm.com/mental health. We'll be right back.